much on that album. I think if I had people in the room with me, I don't know if I would have written that album. Because I would have been turned off like that. Oh, that's some whack shit, man. So it's good to have that alone time and just to be able to run with ideas without anyone chopping them down, and just, I don't know, just trust yourself sometimes.
Do you find, like, do you ever have those moments, because, I mean, it sounds like you, like, I don't want to say a fear of judgment, but there's a bit of that there, eh? Like, you don't want these people to throw out these blocks and stop your flow and explore the ideas. You don't want people to, I guess, impose their limitations on you when it comes to exploring these strange things.
It. Like, I always thought it was good to be sitting in with more minds and have more ideas, but then people would be like trying to chuck you lyrics and you're like, the fuck's this shit? And then that's when you realise you only like what you say with your own mind.
Yeah.
I only realised that in the last year. Like, I've just been trying other ways of writing, and I'll be jamming with people, and they're like, I was like, fuck, I just need a line, and then they'll be like saying stuff, and I'm just like, shh.
Just give me a moment.
And then they'll give me, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta go in another room, I can't think. So, that's when
how do they respond when you do that stuff, bro?
It's like, no, this guy. This uppity guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it always seems to be around that 2 o'clock mark where they call it the golden hour, 2 o'clock. And I won't say it was, but one of my good mates, he was partying with RZA from Wu-Tang over in LA. They were like raging it up, hard out. And then someone walks into the studio and he's like, and then everyone just goes like serious as, and then it hits 2 o'clock and then they push record. And then everyone's just in work mode.
Oh.
And I was just like, fuck, they treat that seriously. 2 o'clock, the golden hour. And I fully believe it, because I think you're at a state where you're pretty tired and you're kind of in that dream state where you're kind of open up to the gods or something.
Yep.
And you're just getting kupu from somewhere else and that's what I mean. Like, I've woken up a couple of times and I'm like, did I fucking write that? And I'll like look at my lyrics and I'm like, what the hell? And then I'll listen back to my voice recording and go, man, shit.
It's interesting you say that, because me and my friends, we used to talk about and we laugh about it now in retrospect. We talk about it like that kind of age when you're like 18 to 23, sort of, party hard. And we used to talk about 2 a.m. being like the dangerous hour, because that's when you're most likely to message a girl some dumb shit, like some super deep and meaningful stuff, because it's when your walls are super down, you're super vulnerable, and those inhibitions are kind of lower. And maybe that's a similar thing, obviously from a different angle, but it's the ability, it's that time when you're just
there's no wars. It's just everything's open. Your emotions are open to the cosmos.
Yeah.
And there's no filter. It just comes out. And I've said it a few times in interviews that it used to take me a year to write songs, and I don't know what it was. It was probably not until I was 29, 30. I'm just like, fuck, what are you waiting for? Like, waiting for something. And then after that, I was writing songs in an hour, easy. It was because I don't know what I was trying to block out, something. And then I didn't know if my stuff was good enough, my lyrics were good enough. And then once I just opened up the floodgates, shit was coming out. And I was just like, I'm just going to trust whatever I write. I'm going to write it out. And then I write it and then sing it back and go, hey, these lyrics are actually quite dope. Like, these are better than any songs I've ever written before. And those are the ones I've been like having one on for a year. These ones I'm just letting loose, and that's kind of how I've written for the last few albums, is just letting it go.
Is there any sort of, can you kind of identify like an event or a time and a realization that allowed you to bring that down, or you can't pick it? Or?
I think it was age. Like, I think it was through fear that the walls come down, because I was like, I'm not getting any younger. What am I waiting for? And
no regrets.
Yeah, and it might have been after my third child. I'm like, fuck, do I really want to do this? It was when I was just questioning, what do I want to do with my life? And yeah, and one of the prime ones was when I wrote the song Lest We Forget. I wrote it for John the Major He was in the C Company. The C Company was the East Coast day.
Yeah.
The Cowboys.
Yeah.
So he was in there. And when he passed away, friggin' legend. I couldn't get down to the Tangi, and so I felt a bit gutted about that. And I just sat down and wrote that song, and that was the first time I never thought about words or anything, and it kind of wrote itself. And it feels like ever since then, a lot of my songs have written themselves. Like I'm just a vehicle, let them come through me, and then it's like if you think too much, then that's when the song's just going to be some sort of floppy shit. But if you just let it flow, then it's like they're just floating around. You just got to grab them before that time slot closes.
For the
you
got to
be you got to be open to the stuff, and I think that's what that 10 to 2 thing is. It's just like waiting for the whatever it is, inspiration for it, whatever, and then just grabbing it and running with it.
Would you say that death affects you quite profoundly, like as a person?
Death.
Like when people pass away and stuff, does it sit with you for a bit, or do you find it quite cruisy?
I haven't had too many close to me, touch wood. I had my nan, and that's where that song Grandma's Rocket Pond comes from. But she passed away in 2013. I didn't write that for a few years after that. But I think it definitely does. Death affects everyone. Yeah, my kids have been, especially with my youngest one. She was crying the other day. Well, I don't know what came up about death. And then I was just talking about when the time comes when you're old enough, it'll be easier to accept. Right now, you're so young. It's a real scary thing. But everyone's born. And
how old's your daughter?
She's 6.
Far out.
But same thing. My oldest daughter was the same thing. She's 11 now. When she was about 6, they go through this phase of we're gonna die, and then I don't know how to make it better, but I just try and I don't know. I really don't know.
So with your music program, we've talked about like the golden hour and the vulnerability to it and stuff. What about when people finally hear it? Do you get nervous? Once you come out of the creative space, and I guess it's time to move into the promotion performance sort of stage of the music?
I don't. When do I get nervous? I suppose it's only because I won't release it until I'm happy with it. So by the time I'm happy with it, if I'm happy with it and I release it and no one likes it, it's fine because I got peace of mind that I'm putting out something that I'm happy with.
Yeah.
If it was shitty and I had to put it out, then I'd be like, oh fuck, damn it, what sort of...
Have you ever been put in that position?
Nah, not yet. But I'm kind of in a good space where I'm only doing things I want to do. I'm in a real cool space where if I want to collaborate with people now, I'll just message them and they'll be like, yo, or people have been messaging me, and I'm like, yeah, harder. So I'm in a good space. It feels like I'm in a place where I won't have to do anything like sell my soul for shit. If I had to, there'd be a lot of money.
What about when you first started, I guess, like every artist goes through that moment when it comes to, they get to that point, they're like, all right, am I going to take this seriously? Did you tell us about your moment going through that? Because, like I say, almost every artist, did you even have one? But most artists I've spoken to have one. They kind of get to that point where they've been doing it for a while, they've been gigging, and they actually have to kind of sit with them and be like, all right, bro, what are we going to do here? Like, or is it just kind of you look back and you're like, fuck, I've been performing for a while now and doing some cool shit?
Well, I haven't really had a 9-to-5 job since 2012.
What did you do?
I was a dive instructor for 6 years.
Oh, man, which wouldn't have been work for you because you love diving.
Yeah. So, the main reason I left diving was my wife, she's a high school teacher, and summer is diving's, busy period. So they were having their Christmas holidays with the kids, and I was at work, and I'm like, fuck this, man. So I was kind of doing itinerant teaching part-time, so I was like, why don't I push to be a teacher so we can all have the same holidays? And I quit. Following week, I got papers through Massey, like correspondence, and that same weekend was when I got the call from Te Arepa. Like the following week after finishing at the dive shop, and that's kind of set the chain of events to where I am right now, where I'm. It's a little bit scary because there's not consistent mahi, not consistent money coming in. Luckily for me, my wife's the one who pays the bills because she's got the consistent mahi. But I don't know. It's a strange job that I do. Like it's not just gigs, you know. We're down here for 3 gigs down in Taranaki, but then I'll be like on Friday last week after the VMAs. I was in the studio with Rob. We've done a whole live album with those guys, and then I'll go into schools and do music commission, songwriting stuff, and then with the acting, you know, we do acting, we do interview. Like it's the cool thing about it. It's never the same.
Yeah.
And I get to see cool parts of our country. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a moment where I'm like, when I'm going to take this seriously. I suppose my wife's letting me do it, so I'll keep doing it. And if she gives me a growling, then I might have to go, oh, I need to take this seriously. How can I make it work a bit better? But it's she's letting me do what I'm doing, so I haven't really questioned it.
So with all the like running around and stuff that you've mentioned you're doing and all the things that are happening for you, how do you manage your time? Like, are you quite good with managing your time, or do you have someone that manages your time for you, or how are you with that side of it? The load management.
I've got a manager this year, but it's been a bit hard. They've spent most of because they're also the Māori Quartet's manager and a few others, so they've got a lot on their plate, and they've been overseas for most of the time. So I've seemingly been managing myself this year. People always think I'm super busy, but most of the week I'm at home looking after my baby, like doing the washing. I've just got my calendar. That's all I need, and I look at, okay, I've got gigs here. I got to do this. Sweet. And then the rest of the time, just bringing up my kids, running into netball, gymnastics. I don't know. I don't think I'm great with time, but I get to things on time, and I know when shit's gonna happen.
Yeah, sweet.
If that's managing my time, then yeah, I know how to manage my time.
Do you ever get stressed?
Nah. I'm probably one of the most chill people you ever meet, and I've actually lost some jobs because people thought I wasn't taking them seriously, and then it wasn't until I met them a year later through someone else, and they realized the person that I am, and I'm always like I am right now.
Yeah. So can you take us like through that? Like, obviously, I don't want you to name people or name the job or anything like that. But what do you mean? I'm battling to fathom what you mean.
It was quite a big thing where, I don't know. I suppose they just wanted to see more. I don't know what they wanted to see, but I was still doing the mahi to a good degree.
Was this performing or?
It was a gig. It was a gig,
yeah.
Which could have been a regular gig. And then it wasn't until the next year when I had achieved heaps of stuff, and then they had seen a lot of interviews where I'm exactly how I was when I was talking to them, and they're like, oh, I thought he wasn't taking it serious, but he's just
this
like
is
the
his
most
personality.
relaxed dude I've ever met. So, and then I got some more mahi with them the following year.
So how are you so relaxed then? What do you think leads you to be stress free? If we try to dissect it, I know it's pretty hard to ask someone why are you the way you are, without saying I just am.
I think Te Kaha's got a lot to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Hard to be stressed there, eh?
It is, and if you are stressed or high strung, people are like, "Oh, up to you, mate." So I think that's got a lot to do with it. And even up north, it's pretty, slow paced up there. I hate getting onto Queen Street and just seeing like people walking past you, and it's like, where are you racing to, man? I don't know. Some people just need to stop and take stock. Sometimes it feels like they're racing and they don't even know where they're going. I really.
So then when you see someone who's stressing out, bro, what would be like? one or two key things you would... Like, if I came to you, bro, and I was like, man, I'm so stressed